The Liverpool Reaction, an American LFC podcast, starts now.
Well, everybody, welcome back. Coach and Salim here to host this podcast. Coach, another defeat to this one stings a little bit more. Fiercest rival, Manchester United, 2-1. Again, they get the late goal instead of us. Coach, what's there to say about all this these performances that just haven't been up to snuff, and how do we get things right? Something needs to change.
Well, I think there's a lot of discussion points that we could maybe go over. In broad terms, if you look at the last three Premier League games, Liverpool has fallen behind. They've gotten back, like they've scored late equalizers. And then you think, well, history says that Liverpool goes on and they win the game, or they certainly don't lose the game. And in all three cases, it's turned out the other way around. So I think that has to be a slight cause for concern. Coming back from my own game today and tuning into the radio and hearing a procession of Liverpool fans crying into their beer. It's being portrayed as the end of the world, and of course you've got the predictable Arne Slot doesn't know what he's doing. But I think, I hate to sound like a record that's stuck, but I think from when we kind of previewed the season, I think my view was Liverpool had spent a lot of money, but that didn't necessarily mean it was going to translate into another league title. And there's still a long way to go, but for me, this season was always going to be about who is Arne Slot as a coach. Who is he as a coach? And he inherited a team from Jurgen Klopp. And you've got all these fans saying, well, it's Jurgen Klopp's team. Well, it's Jurgen Klopp, actually, not just his team that won the title last year. And that's not accurate. When you come into a new situation and you have a highly talented squad, you have to have something to be able to get the respect of that team and then to do what he did last year. But having said that, I think there are certain question marks, some of them understandable. And he's going to be questioned now. He's going to be under a little bit of pressure, and let's see how he responds.
Coach, 63 seconds. And Bumo scores, somewhat controversial. McAllister went down with a head injury, and normally they stop it immediately. They did not. The ref claimed that he didn't see it. I looked at the replay again. He was staring right at it. So it was kind of odd. But regardless, Mbeumo got behind Van Dijk and scored. And that really was... It was tough to watch because, like you said, Liverpool have been giving up goals, and now we have a big fight back. Gakpo hits the post twice and the crossbar once. He does score and also misses a header, a wide open header as well. So it seems to me like this team is pressing. This team is frustrated. And I know as fans, we're frustrated, but you can kind of feel the angst through the TV of the team, just from body language alone, the post being hit a couple of times, the crossbar, the missed opportunities. And I think right now is the best time for the team to kind of be together, because you can tell there's something going on there. And Coach, the Salah thing, I was watching the game and I was like, what is happening? And I realized that, so I'm sorry for going on this kind of long monologue here, Coach, but I realized that when Salah's not in the game, it's not just that Salah's not in the game. That whole side is vacant, and that whole side doesn't need to be defended as intensely as the other sides. But then when you go and attack from the left side, you have a new left back that him and the relationship between Gakpo isn't very good right now. It's a work in progress. And Gakpo isn't going to be a supply line in. I know Salah's an inverted winger as well, but he can get to the byline and he does his cross with the outside of his left. But there's no supply line to the center forward Isak that we spent a fortune on. So at some point we have to use the whole field, and if Salah's not going to be in the games and doing anything, like, we have to do something.
Look, I've been saying since the start of the season, even when Liverpool were on a good run, I can't really see the style or the method of play. It was very clear under Jurgen Klopp what his style was, and maybe he had a couple of variations. And later on in his reign, he showed periods of the game where they might take the heat out of the press and maybe slow it down. But I can't really see what the style is. And I think that coincides, or maybe it's a spin-off, that there's too many players either off colour or off form. And one of the things that I'd said pre-season, finding out about Klopp as a manager, sorry, not Klopp, Slot as a manager, is how he manages Mo Salah. Because Mo Salah really hasn't, look, you don't need me to tell you, he's not had a great season so far. And he butted horns several times with Klopp when Klopp took him off and this kind of situation. And I think the truth be told, he should be getting substituted a lot earlier than he was today. And I think the chance he missed in the second half, where it came to him at the back post, and it was a pretty wild finish. He's way off pace, and Kirkaz doesn't look anywhere near the player he was with Bournemouth. He was very exciting getting forward. And I just have a sense that in both of these situations, I'm not sure if he feels a bit apprehensive about dealing with Mo Salah, and with Kirkaz, whether he's trying to force him along rather than maybe nurture him and ease him into the position. Because just a little bit. When did Robertson come on? Was it late against Chelsea?
Mm-hmm.
I thought instantly that it looked a lot better. Certainly going forward. Because you had the situation under Klopp where you had the two fullbacks all the time going forward, and I think to some degree that he has to be bold in his selections, and I think he has to take a leaf out of his own book. So, for example, when he played his first match against Ipswich, he took off Jarell Quansah at half-time. And with that, he made a statement. And so you've had the recent situation where Ibrahima Konate's not always been playing well. So take him out, put Gomez on. Gomez is a good player. He may feel that Konate's the better of the two players, which is fair enough. But if he's not playing well and he looks shaky, then you've got to use your squad. And so I think he's got to take, as I say, a leaf out of his own book. Obviously the situation with Isak, he's a top striker. I don't think that's the issue, but obviously he's had a slow start. And the one chance he missed today, where I think he kind of had that diagonal run and he got through. The goalkeeper made a really big mistake in that he was pretty much stuck on his line.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a mistake that I would expect to see with kids, actually, to be honest with you. And really, for a player of Isak's quality, that's a pretty easy finish.
Yeah.
And so, you've kind of got all these little things going on, whereas Ekitike has played consistently well when he's been in the team. So maybe he's got to start Ekitike. nurturing Isak. Maybe he's got to start Robertson, nurturing Kirkes. And I'd give Bradley a run. I think he might be forced to do that. I mean, because Alexis McAllister hasn't looked fit all season. So he might have his hands tied to keep on playing Dominic Szoboszlai, who's probably been Liverpool's best player this season.
Mm-hmm.
Keep him in midfield. I think it's a legitimate tactic to play him at right back, by the way. I mean, all he's doing is he's trying to replicate Trent. That's all he's trying to do. But if you've got midfielders that are either injured or off form, then you really have to leave Szoboszlai in midfield. Bradley, to me, is a good right back. But if you keep taking him in and out all the time, he's not going to build up rhythm and he's not going to build up confidence. I mean, he had a fantastic game in the World Cup for Northern Ireland against Slovakia. I mean, he's a good fullback. And also, he's an attacking fullback. And that has been Liverpool's strength with many of the players that are in the squad right now. So, yeah, I mean, like we've all got our own theories, but I think he's got to go to a more consistent lineup, and I think he's got to accept that some players aren't doing it, that maybe he wants to do it.
Yeah. Coach, it just seems like everybody's getting in each other's way. There's no real spacing when we get down to the final third. Kirkes is running on the outside and Gakpo's cutting inside, but there's a midfielder kind of running through, and then there's another midfielder close by. It just seems like it's cluttered, and you mentioned Slot. We're not really sure what's happening. What's the style? What's the purpose here? How does he want to do this? When Frimpong came on the right-hand side for Salah in the 80-something minute, I mean, he immediately made an impact.
Mm-hmm.
He was getting to the byline, had a couple of really nice crosses. Obviously, the Gakpo missed header was one that, I mean, I think 9 times out of 10, Gakpo hits the target, and he just missed it. But it seems like the whole team is there's confusion. And why, Coach? Why is it so bunched up? Why is it everybody's kind of running into the spaces that attackers want to get into? It seems very, very like helter skelter, but with no plan, especially in like down in the third. When you have a striker of Isak, at some point you got to transition that Salah is not the goal scorer, that Isak's a goal scorer of this team, and then you add on goals from everywhere else. But like there's no supply line, there's no tactics. Coach, what are we doing here?
Well, I don't know that there's no tactics. It's just that it's hard to see. It's hard to see what the plan is, and I think obviously he's fiddled around a lot with players, and he's maybe trying to find the right combinations. And this is where I thought it was silly in pre-season, where many pundits are saying, well, if Liverpool sign Isak, that is the league title for Liverpool. And you look at Arsenal, which currently leads the way. And if you look at the signings that they made, basically they just made like for like signings. Liverpool didn't do that. So Arsenal fleshed out their squad. So they've got Saka on the right, for example, and they can either rest, or if he's injured, they've got Madueke. Like they signed him. Havertz, they signed Gyökeres, so like they're signing backup players, players that are interchangeable. Yeah. Liverpool didn't do that. Liverpool signed a lot of different players. And I think initially he tried to force them all into the team, and he's kind of backtracked a little bit. And now he's caught between two stools, basically. And I think he's just got to go back to the basics of, as I said earlier, I mean, like who's doing it and who's not doing it. And if they're not doing it, then they don't play. So for me, I mean, going into the Frankfurt game, if they're all fit, I would pick a front three of Gakpo. I know there's a lot of fans have been bleating about Gakpo, but look, okay, he missed a sitter at the end of the game, but he hit the post 3 times. He scored.
Yeah.
And he was a danger. So Gakpo has to be in. Ekitike has been the centre forward that's done it most. Ekitike should start. And then Salah's not done it. So why not give Chiesa a run? I mean, like Chiesa came on and he's bright and he's involved.
He's energetic. Yeah,
he's energetic. And look, if he can't go for 90, then you bring in Isak off the bench or Salah or, whatever. But going back to the point that I made about Kwanzaa earlier, as soon as Konate came into the team, he knew that he had to hold on to his place. And right now, he's had an iffy start to the season. I'm not saying he was particularly bad today, but he's had an iffy start. But he feels he's going to start next week. Salah feels he's going to start next week. Kirkes feels he's going to start next week, and all of them have been iffy. So go back to what he did against Kwanzaa. And look, once you do that, then you create a different dynamic. And then for players like Bradley, give him a proper run. Give him a proper run in the team. He's a good fullback. He's a young fullback, but I think he's got a lot to offer. Obviously he's a different style to Trent, but I mean, like he showed even in the Trent era, that he was very capable of coming in and playing.
Mm-hmm.
So play him. He's got some leadership quality. Play him and Robertson leadership quality. I think those are things that are maybe needed in the team right now when possibly they are doubting themselves.
It seems like when he tries to fit Wirtz into the lineup, that's when Bradley comes out and Szoboszlai slides back there. How do we get Wirtz in if he wants to sub Wirtz in and keep Bradley on the right side? Is it just a like for like or is it just subbing, for example, McAllister or Gravenberch? Like, what's the play there, you think?
I think you're right. He keeps taking Bradley out all the time. I mean, but if you're going to play Wirtz there, then I think that you've got to really go for the 2 midfielders, which are going to give you the most mileage, which in theory are Gravenberch and Szoboszlai. Or you take, if you're using Wirtz as a substitute, just say if you're playing McAllister as well, so you bring Wirtz on and maybe you bring Jones and you take either Gravenberch or Szoboszlai out. I mean, but you've got to keep a consistent shape. I think that once you keep doing it all the time, the shape of the team keeps changing. And I'm not saying that it is a bad thing, but to do it game after game after game, I don't think that that's going to work. I think it has to be tailored. I think you've got to look at the opposition and say, well, who's it going to work against the best? Sliding Szoboszlai to full back, or alternatively, if everybody's on Song in midfield, then you have to play Szoboszlai as the right full back from the start in the Trent role, and then you've got a midfield three, which would likely be McAllister, Gravenberch, and either Wirtz or Jones. So I think it's make your mind up, basically, and then he's got to persevere with it. I don't think that you can chop and change all the time, as I keep saying, and maybe it doesn't work well at first, but you've got to give it time to hopefully gel over a few games. I mean, like, you're talking about a lot of good players, and you're talking about a jigsaw puzzle in which we haven't got the pieces to fit yet, or Arne Slot hasn't got the pieces to fit. And maybe part of the problem is he has too many options.
What do you think is the best lineup for this team right now, as is, with the results, with the form, everything? I mean, there's I mean, I think it was pretty clear, right? You said Robertson and Bradley, Van Dyke, and then bring in Gomez for Konate, or keep
Well,
Konate.
well, I think it would be too much to change three defenders in the team at once. So, I am the coach. Like we all like to be the coach. So, if it was me, I would keep consistent Bradley and Robertson as the two fullbacks, and you can always bring Kirkash in, or if you want to play Frimpong from that role, you can bring Frimpong in. And so the way that I would look at it with Konate is I'd look at the fullbacks first, and if Konate's not doing it, then I would do a Jarell Quansah, and you bring Gomez in and let him know, look, you got to play for your place. And I think that as McAllister's not done it, I'd be maybe tempted to play Jones over him.
Mm-hmm.
And then Szoboszlai, Gravenberch. And so with Wirtz for right now, I think you've got to ease him in off of the bench, and then just see how it goes. See if he can impact. And then in some of the other games that they play, whether it's the League Cup, whatever, maybe you're playing from the start, but I think that there has to be some kind of consistency, and I think he's got to look at the form of players now, which might mean some hard conversations. But I think you've got to say, Mo, you've been a great servant to the club, and we know what you can do, but right now you're not doing it. And so, look, the role for you as an impact sub, he's probably going to sulk over it, but maybe it also gives him a kick up the backside. And I mean, if he starts coming in off the bench and doing it, then hey, you look at it again. But as we kind of identified earlier, Chiesa's looked very bright coming in as a sub, and that's been from the start of the season. So give him a run. Give him a go. Obviously he had some injury problems, but he's a top international player. And I mean, you can see when he plays, he thinks so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a great touch on the ball. He's alive, and he's wanting a chance. He's hungry, basically. And I've heard one or two people saying, well, maybe Liverpool aren't as hungry this year. So if that's the case, give it to players who are hungry. And Chiesa looks pretty hungry to me.
Yeah. So you're thinking Chiesa on the right and Ekitike in the middle, and
if you're going to go on form, I think that's what you've got to do. Do I think he'll do that? Probably not. But I mean, I'm sure that Arne Slot will be questioning himself a lot right now. And as I keep saying, I'm the stuck record. I think he's got to make some hard decisions based on form.
Coach, the next game being in Frankfurt in Germany, where Wirtz and Ekitike came directly from there, from that club as well. Is this a game that you can test these theories out, or is this a game where you kind of you make the changes that you want to make, that you were planning on making regardless? So for example, Wirtz and Ekitike get this game because they're used to the German style, they're used to playing this team or being on the team in Ekitike's case.
Possibly. I mean, again, I have given you a hypothetical 11 there.
But, I understand that.
But is it, like with the fullbacks and everything, is it wise to make like 5-6 changes over one game? So if I was to prioritize on form the changes, I would possibly make the 3 that I would concentrate on would be the left back, the centre forward, and he will hate me for saying this, but Mo Salah.
Yeah.
I think those are the three that I would look to make the changes. So maybe you leave a McAllister in, even though he's not been particularly on good form. But those would be the ones that I would prioritize, and especially in the case of Salah, see if you're going to get a good reaction out of him, where you bring him on as a sub in the game, because it's a 16-man game, as we always say. It's a 16-man game. So he comes on, and is he going to do something? Is he going to impact? And so you're trying to change the dynamic.
Coach, is it possible that Salah is just not going to be the same Salah?
Oh, it's always possible. It's always possible. I mean, something that we've kind of highlighted before is he's going to be missing for a month. So
blessing in disguise, maybe.
Well, I don't know that I would look at it like that. I mean, I think the theme from myself has always been from the start of the season: is this going to be his last season? And that's before a ball was kicked.
Yeah.
Because the logic is he was going to go into this season, and either he's going to keep at the similar type level to what he's done in the past, or he's having the kind of run that he's having right now. So, I mean, just say if he has a great season, say if he turns it around, then when the end of the season rolls around, we're going to get the same narrative again, which is, are Liverpool going to sell him, or are they going to cash in on him? Which it was before Arne Slot came, because he was entering the last year of his contract and everything. But I think as things stand now, I mean, I think that this is going to be his last season, unless he shows a dramatic improvement, because I think Liverpool would be foolish to carry him if they can get decent money for him at the end of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not only the money they would get from him, it would be also the salary they would save.
Well, yeah, Coach, I mean, yeah, the whole economic package, yeah.
Of course. Coach, as you kind of look across the league, and we watch most of the games, and is there a certain player that you see out there that would kind of can come in on that right-hand side? The names like Olise, Semenyo has even been now kind of thrown in the mix. Is there anybody else that kind of makes sense out there on the right, or is that a place that you kind of keep for Chiesa and Frimpong, moving forward, let's say next year or something like that?
Well, I think we have to wait and see. I mean, Frimpong, I think quite a few people have identified him as a strange signing, because everyone kind of viewed him as a replacement at right back for Trent, even though he wasn't the same style. He was a right back, but he had a different skill set. And it seems already that Arne Slot's not prepared to use him in that role. So I think we've got to wait and see what happens. I mean, like Semenyo's having a great season, but I thought he was really good last year. Players like Semenyo and Kudus, who ended up going to Tottenham, they were players that consistently caught my eye. And then down at Brighton, Matoma. Now, I think Matoma's getting on towards 30, so it's unlikely that they would sign him unless it was on a free transfer, I would think. I think Semenyo's as well. I think he's in his mid-20s.
I think he's 26, yeah.
Yeah, he's in his mid-20s, but now I think quite a lot of clubs are looking at him. I mean, so again, I don't know what his inclination would be, but I think if Jurgen Klopp was at the helm, I mean, I think Jurgen Klopp would be frothing at the mouth to get him, and maybe Semenyo would be relishing playing for a Klopp type of system. So I know it's reputed that Liverpool are looking at Olise. I mean, obviously, Olise is a great player. Are they looking at Olise because the rumor about McAllister and Real Madrid? I don't. Who knows?
Yeah.
So I think, when it comes to signing players, it'll be interesting to see whether they've lost Gahey or whether they would go for Gahey in January, which means that they're going to have to spend more money. In a funny way, that's probably, if they are looking to sign a player, I think that Gahey should really be top of the list, really. Or if they've got somebody else in mind, a centre half that can come in and basically is ready to play.
Yeah.
But, obviously Gahey is, and he's Premier League proven, and he's having a great season, isn't he? And it seems pretty clear now, Crystal Palace, because you've even got the manager saying that he's going. So my gut feeling is that they might prefer to sell him in January because they get money, even though they're not going to get the full amount of money that they might desire. I think they're going to sell him in January, which means that they'll be looking at somebody that they're going to bring in as his replacement. So obviously I have no idea who that is.
Right.
I guess the question is that can Liverpool get him? Are they prepared to pay money? We shall see.
I think Gahey would create some sort of stability in the back, some calmness in the back. Coach, as I look in the future now even further, Van Dijk's getting up there in age, and that's gonna be something we're gonna have to address relatively soon. The team's transition is obviously, this was a big window for the transition of the team, and there's going to be some big pieces that are going to transition out as well here in the next 2 years, specifically Virgil and, I get Mo too. But the pieces are there, right, Coach? Like, we're just in a bad form. We're figuring things out. The pieces are there, like, for long-term success, right? Am I crazy?
I think there's a lot of talent there. I don't think that long-term success is a given. I think there's been plenty of clubs. I think Real Madrid have had these periods where they sign all these big name players, they're Galacticos, and then it doesn't gel. So I think that if you analyze their history, they've had great periods, and then sometimes it hasn't worked. And so that could be the case here. I don't, it's too early to say. It's too early to say because they had a run where they were winning all the time late, but they were winning, and now they're on a run where they're losing, and they're losing late. So it's kind of flipped on its head, and I just see it as Arne's got too many new toys to play with, and he doesn't know how to play with them all together.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of talent, but I don't think it's a given that it'll gel.
The game midweek against Frankfurt, I just want to see a performance. The result to me won't matter if there's a good performance, and hopefully there'll be some answers to the questions that we're asking, and hopefully Slot will kind of figure something out tactically, or even from a form perspective that we keep kind of harping about here. But Coach, other than that, anything else you take from the game? Anything else that we could talk about? Something positive?
Look, at the end of the day, they created enough chances. So if you don't take your chances, then you can only blame yourself. So it wasn't as though they were kind of sterile up front or anything like that. Far from it. Gakpo hit the post, hit the upright 3 times. So that in itself tells you something. And like the chance that Isak missed, as I say, the goalie made a big mistake and he didn't take advantage of it. And then we had the miss in the last minute, which might have rescued a point. But so Liverpool are creating chances. But I disagree with you slightly about the Frankfurt game. I think that they need a result. I I think they need a result before the performance, actually. Because once you get a result again, that kind of ends the narrative. So, I mean, just say if Liverpool went to Eintracht Frankfurt and won 1-0, and it was a kind of a scrappy winner, an unconvincing performance. And so you've still got the media going on, well, like they're not playing as well as they should and all that kind of stuff. But at least you've got a result to hang on to. And then you've got something to take to next weekend's game at Brentford, which will be a difficult game.
I think a performance from a standpoint of get some answers to some of these questions, and that's my thought. But yeah, maybe I mean, at the end of the day, it's about wins and losses. It's just the wins and losses just haven't been. They've all been kind of wishy-washy, and there hasn't been really great performances throughout the season. So anyway, we'll see what happens. We're still third, I believe, right, Coach? Third in the league.
I thought it was fourth.
Fourth.
Yeah, fourth. So I mean, yeah. Coming back to the preseason and talking about that, I mean, like my forecast that Liverpool would be in the running, but I didn't expect them to win the title. So
Yeah.
still in the position to do that. And who knows, like if things were to fall into place, then maybe they could repeat. Who knows? But at this time, I think I think they have to get a result, and it would be nice to have a good performance as well. But I think that they need the belief that a win or a draw or something gives them again, and then they take that into next weekend's game down in London.
All right. Well, Coach, thanks as always for your input. And although it feels like the sky is falling, that's not the case. And we'll see what happens against Frankfurt midweek in the Champions League. That game is at Frankfurt, so interesting to see maybe the boys getting out of town and staying together, and hopefully we'll get something. We'll get a performance and a result, huh, Coach?
Hopefully, yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks again, and keep your heads up. I know I'm trying to. All right, take care, everybody.
Coach and I want to take a second to thank everybody for watching on YouTube or whether you're listening via podcast. Please subscribe or follow the show wherever you consume your content. We are looking forward to continuing to bring you the best Liverpool content out there. We'll see you next time.